Yay! Okay, I'm hoping that this works on the phone. It looks like it does. Okay. I don't know if I see comments on the phone, so I'm trying to pull it up on my computer as well. So if you ask a question, hopefully you can hear me too. Yeah, so let me know if you have any questions. I don't think there will be many questions on this, but okay, so we'll hop right in. What to do when you are doing all the things and you're not feeling the results. Years ago, I probably had about 5 years of hardcore working on myself. And I was going to therapy on a regular basis. I was going to all of these healers, and I was doing all of this stuff for growth and for healing. Hi, Mom. Oh gosh, I'm not gonna filter, Mom, sorry. So I was going through all of these things and doing all of this growth. And I was growing absolutely, and I was doing this healing, and I was a Reiki practitioner, and during this time I became a Reiki master as well. So I was doing like major work on myself, and through all of this work, I realized that there was one big piece missing. And that's what I want to share with you, that I wish I would have recognized the importance of this during these years of intense healing and growth, because I was going and working so hard to get this growth and to get this healing and this expansion. And it wasn't until it's been a little over a year that this big shift happened. And before I tell you what the one big thing is, I want to talk a little bit more about some of the things that I did and why they were important. So I saw a variety of different healers and different therapists, and all of that was really important. And I do suggest that you go to a variety of different people, you see who resonates with you, and you listen to yourself is one of the biggest keys I can give, but that's not the biggest thing. Well, it could be. You listen to yourself, you trust yourself, because everyone else is a leader and a guide for you, and they can give you insights, but it's really about what resonates with you. And you go through all these things, and you go from one to the next, and you wait for the next big thing, and you get a reference to someone else, and you go to that, and then you do all of this hard work on yourself, and you try, and you do. The biggest thing, though, is that you have to stop and let it sink in. That's the big thing. So I went through about 5 years of, camera sliding. I went through about 5 years of really working hard to get, let's get this camera, to get everything going how I wanted. Sorry, I'm trying to get this to work. I had about 5 years of really intense growth, but what I was missing was letting it sink in. I finally discovered this when I had a massive shift last September. So last September, Hunter and I went to Hawaii for pretty much the whole month, and we have traveled for many years. I do really well with traveling and with taking time off for myself and for investing in myself with healing. And the piece, though, that I was missing was letting it sink in, allowing it. If we are in this masculine energy of go, do, learn, heal, it was all very forceful, but it wasn't powerful. So I was trying to force all of these things, and I wasn't allowing the natural power. So the natural power can come through when we actually allow, when we actually accept, when we let these changes actually take place. So last September, when I went to Hawaii, this was when I finally gave myself permission to put the business aside. Every time that I've traveled, I have been absolutely dedicated to, I'm working. And this time I decided to not even work on myself. I decided to just be. Just enjoy the present moment, do what I was feeling called to do every single day, and just be. I had the most profound healing during that month because everything that I had done previously finally sunk in. So all of the work that I had been doing for the years hadn't had time to really process. It hadn't had time to sink in and do the work because I wasn't allowing it to. I was trying to control, I was trying to force. I wasn't letting the natural power of the healing actually happen until I stopped and allowed it. So regardless of how much work you're doing, if you don't stop and allow that healing to naturally happen, you're going to continue trying to control and force this healing, and it's not going to work. Even if you're going to the best of the best healers, if you aren't stopping and allowing it to happen, that won't work. So for me, that was the long trip where it was the first time ever that some of the times when I went to the beach by myself, I didn't take my phone. Some of the hikes that I went on, I didn't take my phone. I really had to put business aside and not even work on myself, just allow. And so how this can be translated to you at home, to where everyone can do it, and to where I have applied it in my daily practice, is mornings, or any kind of ritual. And for me, this is part of my daily practice now, where I just sit silently. That's all. You just have to allow. You have to believe that you are worthy of the healing happening. You have to stop fighting it, stop trying to control it, stop saying what you need to happen, and just be. Just be in the present moment. Appreciate the beauty of the world around you and just marvel at that and just be. When you can stop and just be, that is when you can allow the best healings to happen. And this is often the healings that you've already done that haven't taken effect yet. During my month-long trip to Hawaii, it wasn't the trip necessarily that was healing. It was all of the 5 years of intense work that I had done. But none of this had taken effect until I stopped and allowed it. Had I stopped and taken more breaks throughout that long period of many years of healing, I probably would have gotten a lot further, and I wouldn't have needed to do as much of the healing because it would have actually taken effect. I have had anxiety my entire life, and I have not had anxiety since last September. When I came back from Hawaii, I kind of thought that it was a fluke, and I was like, all right, great, like this is the honeymoon period after a vacation, after a trip, great. And I kept kind of waiting, and I kept kind of waiting, and the anxiety never came back. And I truly believe that that is because all of the work that I had done in the 5 years prior to this, all of the work that I had done finally took effect when I stopped and I allowed it. I had to allow it. So the way that you can work this in on a daily basis is silence. Before this time, when I would meditate, I was still in a position of trying to force something, trying to connect to something, trying to do something. And I wasn't just being. I wasn't just being in the present moment. I was trying to force instead of allowing the power that naturally comes through with silence. We are always our best teachers. Our guides, angels, they are always there. And we have to just allow them to do the healing on us, allow these healings that we have already done to take effect. So the way that I've worked it in now is being in the present moment, doing the silence at least once a day. I'm huge, and I see that Brittany came on. Hey, Brittany. Brittany is a big morning ritual person, and that's one of the ways that I've worked it into my daily practice as well. In the past, when I had done meditation, it was always a very forceful thing. So now just being and allowing that healing to happen. Creating the space. So when I had the massive shift that really changed everything, changed my life in Hawaii, I was in a freaking amazing place. It was great. But you can create that anywhere. It's really allowing that healing space to nurture you. And it all goes back to acceptance as well. You have to allow it to come into your space and believe that you're worthy. There's a lot of work that you can do on belief in your worthiness. That is one of the biggest things that women specifically, but that anyone comes to me for with one of their first emotional healing sessions, it typically has to do something about worthiness. Worthiness of saying no to others and yes to yourself. Worthiness of taking the time to do nothing. Worthy of the abundance that comes to you. Worthy of any of the things that you're trying to bring into your life. If you have heard of Abraham Hicks, big fan. One of the teachings of Abraham Hicks is allowing. You can manifest and try all of these things all day long, but you know what? They're not going to come into your life until you allow them. The same thing with healing. You have to sit back and allow it to all take place. If anyone has any questions, let me know. Oh, thanks, Brittany. Thank you all for being on. That's really the gist of it is, so I'm curious how you guys, how everyone, whether you're watching it live or whether you're watching the replay, how do you let these healings, how do you let the work that you're doing in your life take effect? So if you are going to therapy, if you are doing coaching, if you are reading self-help books, if you're going and doing plant medicine ceremonies, whatever the work is that you are doing in your life, how do you let that sink in? Do you give yourself time to assimilate to that before moving on to the next? Or do you go through one book, finish it up, go on to the next, and work? You have to allow the little tidbits of time. So for me, that's morning and then periodically throughout the day, allowing those little bits of time for things to sink in and to do that deep healing work. And then I also believe in big stints of it. I did my first silent retreat totally by myself in March of this year. And it was 2 days of no talking, no eye contact with anyone. I was in a cabin in the woods by myself and had nothing, no clock, totally just listening to my body. And it was incredible because I was finally, again, allowing. And so I think that that's something that I have picked up from this as well, that you can have the long stints of time where you allow big downloads, but then you need those little bursts too. This also keeps you aware of if you really need more healing work and more coaching work, or if you need to assimilate some of what you've already done. I recommend some time between books as well. So if you're doing books or coaching programs, for the most part, I think that there needs to be a little bit of time between the two for you to really stop and let everything sink in before you jump back into something else. I mentioned briefly the masculine energy of going, doing, forcing this growth, forcing all of these things, and then the feminine energy of receiving. If you are going, you're gonna stay out of balance. You have to stop, you have to step back and believe that you are worthy of receiving and allow all of the abundance, all of the gifts, all of the work that you've done to finally take effect and to know at your core that you are worthy of it and trust that all of that was for a purpose. I always say in my trainings, and I've heard other people say this too, and I love it, is that you will get whatever you're supposed to at a certain time. So you might leave a training, whether it be with me or someone else, and you might be like, yeah, like, I think I got something, but maybe that was the first drip. Maybe it's months later that then you hear something again, you're like, whoa, that clicks. Things that you learn don't always come through right then. So trusting that in the right time, you have received that download and it will take effect at some point. Trusting your downloads, trusting that the healing can happen, trusting that in that silence you will gain the insight, you will gain the clarity. You don't always need to be looking for outside sources. Outside sources are huge, they're great. I'm one of those outside sources. I'm not trying to like coach myself out of a job too much, but at the same time, you have to be your main resource. You have to be. You have to see what you can take from something and what applies to you and leave the rest. And you have to let it all assimilate. You have to let it all soak in. So I hope this has been helpful. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments and I'll respond. If you have any questions that are unrelated, still leave them and I'll do other quick videos. And I hope everyone has a great weekend. And I will talk to you guys soon. Thanks.